Hi there, welcome to the Schwoven's Nest. My name is Sandra and I'm so glad you're here. I'd like to thank Temu for sponsoring today's video, and I'm going to show you a bunch of beautiful decor craft items that you'll be able to use for your projects. I'm starting off with this pack of 6 stencils. These are so cute. There's some sprigs, there's some greenery, some larger flowers. It really gives you a good assortment, and these are all reusable stencils. They're plastic. All you need to do is just wash them off if you want to. I tend to not do that, but they will last a little bit longer if you give them a quick wipe after you're done painting. I can't wait to start using these. This next stencil is a pretty big one. I think it's like this 8.5 by 11. And I love the fact that it has some knots in it, it has some straight lines, and it's wood grain. It's going to be beautiful to create some of those signs that aren't real wood and give them a wood look. Let me show you how to do that. This is just a piece of MDF and it's the same material that you get all of those Dollar Tree signs. I'm starting by painting it a dark gray, and I'm not going to worry too much about getting solid coverage. It's okay if a little bit of that brown color peeks through. Here you can see that it does have a little bit of the brown peeking through. The next color I'm using is sort of a dirt color. It's called clay. And now I'm just going to be dry brushing. And I don't want to fully cover this, but I'm going to be blending it in quite a bit. You want to have some brush strokes, but you also want it to be not looking like brush strokes. So it's kind of hard to explain, but I think you can see here what I'm doing. I've got it covered with this second color, and now I'm going a little bit heavier, and this is the same color. And you can see here that I'm just trying to blend it in just a little bit more, give it more of a lighter look. I'm going for like a weathered deck board or a fence board, that kind of a look. So I'm going to go a little bit heavier now that I've finished the first layer. I'm letting it dry thoroughly in between coats because I don't want to blend too much of the colors together. I still want to be able to see the difference. Now I'm taking a lighter color, and this I believe is Parisian Gray by Folk Art. It's just a really nice soft gray. And again, I'm doing the same thing, just taking my brush and using a dry brush method, but then going a little bit heavier in some spots and then blending it out without adding extra paint on my brush. And you can see here that it's already starting to look like a piece of weathered wood. Now I'm going to put the large wood grain stencil on it, and you can tape it down if you want. I just hung onto it with my other hand. And I'm going to take the second color, which is the clay color, and I'm going to go over this again just with a dry brush method. I don't want this to go too stark. I don't want this to look like fake wood grain. So I'm going to be going over it with a dry brush, taking it off, taking a look at it, and then deciding what I want to do next. What I did decide to do was take the light color, go over it, and then take the darker gray color and go over it again. So this has 3 different layers of dry brushing. Now, if you wanted to go with something much darker and really get the look of the wood grain so it's prominent, you could definitely just go with a sponge brush or a stencil brush and make it much darker. But I just wanted a subtle look, and I think it turned out really nice. Here's a look at it from a distance. You can see some of the wood grain and the knots on the one side. And like I said, I did it very subtly, but I love how this turned out, and I can't wait to try it on more brown colors and make that wood grain stand out a little bit more. Let me tell you a little bit about Temu. First of all, they ship for free, which I think is amazing. Secondly, a lot of their products are discounted and up to 90% off. Right now, they're featuring Mother's Day picks, so if you're looking for something for mom, make sure you check out Temu. Just a quick note, if you've already purchased from Temu, you won't be able to use my new code. If you haven't already ordered something from Temu, then you can use the code on the screen, SALE2574, for an additional 30% off. You might be getting some items for almost free.
I'm showing you a lot of crafting items in my hauls because that's what I was interested in. But they have cleaning products, they have household supplies, small appliances, and more. So please make sure you check out the link in my description box. Head on over to Temu. All of the product links for this video will be listed so you'll know what to look for. And have fun!
These next pieces are fondant molds, and I know they're supposed to be for fondant, which is more softer, but I wanted to try these with clay, and I got a bunch of them. So let me tell you, they are really solid silicone and they're not very deep. Some of them are deeper than others, and they don't have a rim on them, so it might be a little tricky to get the clay out of them, but I'm going to show you in a few minutes how I did them and how they turned out. I've got a bunch of these. So some designs, some borders, some embellishments, all sorts of different things in this pack. This is another one that I'm really excited about. I didn't do a good job filming this, so that's why I'm just holding it there for you. I love the keyholes and the key. I think they're going to be so pretty. This next one I thought would be perfect for spring and summer. I do remember that these are resin molds, so the honeycomb on this one is fairly shallow. I don't think it'll be good for clay, but I'm going to try some clay on the little bees right now. I put a bit of cornstarch in the mold first, and now I'm just working some of this DOS clay into a disc, and I'm going to push that right into the bee mold. Now, because these are resin molds, you're supposed to pour something in it, so you really have to work it and push fairly firmly to make sure that your clay hits the bottom of the mold. And then all you're going to do is very gently lift it up and look at how pretty that turned out. You can really see all of the details. And what I'm going to do is just make this a free-handed honeycomb shape. It doesn't turn out exactly even all the way around, so I'm going to have to practice that. But I thought that would be fun. I think you could also use it just as a circle or a square. And if you wanted to be really patient, you could probably carve out the clay really close to where the bee is. I was really excited about this mold. This is also for resin, I believe, or it could also be for fondant. But what I'm going to be using it for, again, is with clay. Look at all the beautiful chickens and roosters. There's a little chick, and there's even a little nest. The details are amazing. Temu also has different types of wood products. So I grabbed this pack of these little thin boards. I believe they're about 2 millimeters thick. I'm going to take two of them and I'm going to attach two of the chicken molds onto them so I can fill up this crate. This was something that I picked up at a thrift store for $3.99, and I like the bones of it, but it needs a little bit of updating. I took off all of the hardware from the crate and I'm going to take these little pieces of wood. I'm going to glue on two of these hens that I did with that mold. Now I did them the same way that I did the bee. I just simply took the clay and pushed it in and then trimmed off the edges. With the chicken here or the hen, you can easily go around the edges. The feet were a little bit tricky, but I just did the best I could. I like to use Gorilla Glue Clear Grip or some other type of super glue to put my clay pieces on my projects. I just find that that is what works best for me. But if you have another type of glue that works best for you, then use what works. Once the glue was set up a little bit with the hens, I used some hot glue to glue the wood pieces right onto the crate, and that just helped to close up the sides a little bit. Take a look at that color of the crate. It is really kind of a goldy orange, so I'm going to be fixing that up too. I decided to paint the wood piece white, so I'm just using my DIY chalk paint, and I'm going to go over the chicken as well, just so they're all the same color. Once the white paint had a chance to dry, I'm taking some of my antiquing wax. This one is from Folk Art and it's the dark brown, but I'm just watering it down ever so slightly just so it will glide a little bit better. I'd like it to be more like a paint when you put on the antiquing wax rather than something that is quite so sticky. So what I end up doing is just dipping my brush in a little bit of water and then dipping it into the lid where I've just put some of the antiquing wax. And that just really helps to put it on much better. Using the same watered down antiquing wax, I'm going to go over the wood piece and the chicken, and then I'm going to take a paper towel and just wipe some of it back. I want to make sure that I can get all of the details of the chicken just kind of popping out, but I also wanted to blend in that white of the board.
If you like what you see so far, I'd love it if you could hit that red subscribe button.
Let's take a look at some more craft supplies. I've got 3 of these wooden mushrooms. They are so cute. Couple of different sizes and styles. Next, I got another mold, and this one is a honeycomb mold. This one was perfect because I was able to just trim off all of the excess clay, and it came out really nice and thick, a good quarter of an inch thick. Next, I'm going to show you some of these honey dippers. Now, these are meant for crafting, but I think you could probably use them for honey as well if you wanted to. They're just so cute and tiny. I think these come in different sizes too. Here's a pack of 100 sunflower blossoms. These are little minis. They're silk flowers and they have this cute little brown fuzzy center. Little bit of difference in the colors in that, but they're beautiful and you'll be able to stick them on any little stem and add that to your bouquets. Sticking with a little bit of a honeybee theme, I got this wide ribbon that's striped yellow and black. It's also wired and there's quite a bit of it. I don't remember how many yards are in this, but I really liked it. It was fun and I think it's going to look great on some honeybee decor pieces. I was super excited when I found this black twine on their website. I think that's going to be perfect for some of the farmhouse and even some of the honeybee and different things that I like to make. And if you've been with me for a while, you know that I love my black and white buffalo check or black and white gingham. So I had to get this little thin ribbon. Now, this is something that I would definitely purchase again. Really high quality and really beautiful pattern on it. Okay, let's get into a DIY. I'm going to use this little honeycomb mold and I just dusted it with some cornstarch again and I'm just working the DOS clay to get it nice and soft. I'm going to work it into sort of a disc and then I'm going to take it and push it right into that mold, making sure that I get really nice and deep. You can see here that I'm using a lot of pressure, and that's what you want to do with these types of molds because otherwise you won't get to be able to get into all the little nooks and crannies. Then very slowly and carefully, I just pulled off the silicone rather than pulling the clay. I just kind of released the silicone mold and look at how pretty this is. Now, definitely because these are straight lines, I'm going to be able to take my craft knife and just clean off all of the edges and this will be a perfect little mold. I grabbed this little recipe box out of my stash and removed the lid and glued on the honeycomb and the little bee, as you can see here. I'm going to give it a few coats of white chalk paint inside and out. Once it was completely dry, I took my brush and did a little bit of black dry brushing on top of everything just to bring out all of the details of the little bee and the honeycomb. Unfortunately, I didn't film that for some reason, but I'll show you what it looks like at the end of the video. I think using stamps in crafting and decor are a really simple way to add some beautiful designs. And I picked these up from Temu. I liked the roses down at the bottom and sort of the hydrangea looking one. And there's a little bit of different textures and different florals on here. So I thought this would be really pretty to use. I thought these would be really fun to use on smaller projects, and I like the 2 circle ones. They remind me of the IOD knob stamps, or the toppers. I'm not 100% sure what they're called, but I think those would be look really great on small projects. I'm going to use this set of clear stamps on this faux piece of wood that I created with the stencil, and I'm starting off using a white ink pad. I've never used this white ink pad before, but I thought I would give it a shot, and against the gray background, I thought it would look really nice. When I'm working with my stamps, I make sure that I always clean them up really well ahead of time. This white was really hard to get off. I ended up using a little bit of alcohol. A baby wipe just didn't do the trick. And this is my little cleaning pad that I have from my Stampin' Up! Days. I really love how the roses turned out. This stamp is probably my favorite of the whole bunch. So I'm going to put two larger stamps at the top and then just fill in a little bit towards the bottom, sort of the way flowers would grow, and then just add some little leaves and some of the other little bits and pieces from this stamp set. I almost forgot that I got 3 ink pads from Temu, the black, a coffee color, which is sort of a brown. I thought it might be sort of like a sepia tone, and then a navy blue. I was a little disappointed with these because they're a little watery. They don't go on very nice and thick. They kind of leave some bubbles, and the colors were a little too bright for my liking. I I tested the blue and the brown out on paper first. The brown's okay, it's a little orangey, but I did find that it stained my stamp. So I'm not too fond of that. I don't want any of those stains to transfer onto any of my next projects. So again, I'm not sure that I would be using these or purchasing these again. So just keep an eye out for that. If you want to give them a try, they're probably one of the items that I would say you get what you pay for. I decided to give the blue a try anyway, and I just went over the white a little bit further down so you can see a little bit of a shadow. I think the blue is okay. I still think it's a little too bright. So I did take some white afterwards once it was dry and just went over it with the white again just to kind of tone it down. I also did some black on the larger flowers, as you can see there, and then I added just a little bit of blue to the center of those. For this time, I ordered these larger pieces of fabric, and I think there's 6 or 8 sheets in here, and they are coordinating, and I think they're really pretty. The small ones that I got from my last haul, I wasn't too keen on those patterns, but I really liked these. So there's a small polka dot, there's a larger polka dot, and then there's some different florals. For this project, I'm using one of these Dollar Tree houses that has that fabric on it and the wood piece on it that you cannot get off for the life of you. Anyway, I thought I could do that when I purchased these, so I have a bunch of them in my stash. I'm going to have to use them up. I chose this beautiful green fabric with the little white flowers. I thought it was so pretty, and I'm just going to use some hot glue and glue it down right on top of the fabric that's already there. Two more products that I got from Temu is this cutting mat with the sticky on it so you can use it for your cutting machines. I got the strong grip because I tend to like that one a little bit better. It has a really good grip to it, so I'm hoping it's going to last a little bit longer than my other mats. The next thing was this heat transfer vinyl, and because I use black a lot, I just decided to grab a roll of black. I'm just going to cut out a small square and then apply it to my mat just like I normally would for my cutting machine. When I'm weeding out the vinyl, I like to take my craft knife and cut out strips so I'm not having to deal with the whole sheet all at once. This vinyl was really easy to weed. I was impressed with the thickness of it as well. It was very similar to more of the name brand products that I've used before. I'm going to apply it to the house just off to one side, and I'm going to use my little mini heat press that I have here. I had it set on the medium heat, but I think the low heat would have been good enough. One thing I did find with this heat transfer vinyl that there wasn't a whole lot of sticky. You're going to see my little thing pop up there, and then I had to just readjust it. But it went down really easy. it stayed on and it stuck really, really well. So I'm really liking this vinyl, and I might just be getting it in some different colors too. I had painted the sides and the back of the house black and had let that dry before I glued the fabric on. And now I'm going to take some of the gingham black and white ribbon that I got from Temu, and I'm going to just put it on the bottom, and then I'm going to put another piece a little bit farther up. I want to make two little stripes. I'm going to add some of the black twine that I really, really love. I'm going to be using that a lot. And then I added some of the little pink flowers that I got in my Temu package for my first video. I think some of the silk florals, there's a little bit of pink in this fabric, so I thought I would bring that out with just a little bit of florals and then some ribbon. Here's a look at the projects that I created today using products from Temu.
Thanks so much for sticking with me right to the end of the video. If you like these products and projects, make sure you check out Temu. Again, the links will be down in my description box, and use the code to get an additional 30% off. Remember, first-time users only. If you liked this video, here's a couple more that might interest you. Take care. Bye for now.